Okay, very good. All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. We are going to honor Mrs. Maria Gutierrez and recognizing her position, her new position as the Western Area Region Director of the National Association of State Boards of Education. And this is to commend you on the hard work you've done, especially with our school children, and now you're representing our island and the whole region, actually. And so, Mrs. Gutierrez, we wanted to do an honoring recognition of the work that you have accomplished and your position, your new position as the Western Area Region Director of the National Association of State Boards of Education. So congratulations to that. And just a couple words. We've known Mrs. Gutierrez for a very long time. Ever since I was a little girl, she was always in education with my grandmother, and she's just as feisty as my grandmother, if not more, right? And everyone can attest to that. But the deep love she has for our students really is impressionable upon us, and really showing how she reaches out to them in their time of need, but also in their time to push them to reach their full potential. And I've seen that many times. Some of her students in iBogs say, man, she's calling me at 11 o'clock at night, reminding me of, meetings that I have to make and encouraging me. So really, this is a true testament to the many lives that you've touched. And, the students in iBogs are all becoming successful individuals, and that's an attribution to your mentorship. And so we wanted to honor you today in recognizing this prestigious position in the Western Area region at the National Association of State Board of Directors. So, Mrs. Gutierrez, and it's been a while since we've done this. I'd like to acknowledge Senator San Augustine, who's also a former board member of education. And so these two are gangs, and so it's nice to stand next to these two exemplary individuals and see this memorial take place in Mrs. Gutierrez's honor. So we'd like to invite you to say a couple words.
First of all, this is just a joke. This is a small frame. The ones I have are big. Okay. But anyway, thank you, Senator Nelson, and thank you, Senator San Augustine. I wasn't expecting this. I don't do things to get recognized. And when I received the email for certificate, I thought it was for somebody else, and I saw my name. Being now the Western Director is very important to me, because now I represent the 17 states and the territories, and I'm already doing my work. I was early this morning. I was on the NASBE office hours, and of course they always say Maria, because they always know that I'm there. This is really for the people of Guam, the students of Guam, my colleagues on the Board of Education, and for the Guam Department of Education, from management to the lowest employees. As you mentioned about your grandma, she was my mentor, and she was my role model. That do what you think is the best for the students. Don't think of anything else. And you know that because I got to you already, okay? And my colleague here, Mr. Senator San Augustine, he and I were in the Guam Education Policy Board, and the acting superintendent was on the Guam Education Board. So they all know how I am. I speak the way I wanted to say something. So it means a lot to me, because now I'm representing all these others, the Western states. And at the delegate meeting, because we have the Western Region meeting, at the delegate meeting, that's when the whole board, outgoing board, accepts the nomination from the region. And the representative from Arizona, that were there at the delegate meeting on Saturday, Hawaii, Wyoming, Utah, and Washington said, there's no one better to represent the Western region than Maria from Guam. So for me, I have to do my best now. I represent both the Guam Education Board and all the Western region. So thank you for this, and it means a lot. And on behalf of my daughter, my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grand, she's just Marcy.
Okay, I also want to acknowledge the acting superintendent, former Senator Francis Santos, and the chairman of the board, Mr. Mark Mendiola, and of course we have one of our deputies here, Ms. Erica Cruz. So, Senator San Agustin, do you want to say a couple words about your dear old colleague and friend?
Sure, I'll say a few words.
Okay.
You know, when anybody asks me, do I know Mary Gutierrez? One of the famous things we would hear on the board was from Dr. Cruz. Dr. Cruz would always turn to Mary and me and says, "What say you?" And we'd always look at each other and say, "What's he talking about?" And then he always reminds us of our role. And you know, I've known Mary for almost 20 years. We were in the board when I first elected. She was already there. And then when I was the chair, we created a lot of things on the Department of Education. Just a lot of it hasn't moved forward as much as we would have wanted to. But you know, with me on the legislature side, I've been focused with DOE. It's just a matter of time. I know Senator Nelson was very focused on DOE. It's just, there's a lot of things to overcome. But with the superintendent and with the chairman, Mr. Mendiola over there, that's always at UOG, busy, and Ms. Gutierrez on the other side, always barking about Håfa, Tanananga. But you know what? Then we got my cousin Lou. So there's family all over the place, and with Ms. Gutierrez representing us in the region, I just hope they all understand what they got themselves involved in when they got Ms. Gutierrez, because she is a handful. If you think you saw everything, she will point out the things that you missed. She's that type of person. She's not about anything else but students. That's all she's been focused on. And may God bless us all. And I hope for the best for Ms. Gutierrez. Because knowing her, she's going to call me. I get a call from her at least once a week. So I know what's going on in DOE. And now in the region, we'll be able to back her without any problem. Congratulations, Mary.
Thank you. All right, well, that concludes our certificate of recognition. And if you see Mrs. Gutierrez today in your schools and this week, please congratulate her. This is a huge moment for her and her family, and also for our island of Guam. So we wish you the best. We will keep you in our prayers to ensure that the Lord gives you wisdom and discernment on the decisions that you make, impacting our whole region. So thank you, everyone, for being here today, and God bless you. Have a good day.